Hey guys, it's Dave from Countryside. Hope you're doing great today. Today is episode 6 of FFRM, Family.Farm.and.Ranch.Manager. Today's episode is all about remote management, remote desktop. So, what is that? Well, basically, um, remember in a prior episode, I talked about the fact that FFRM is an application that's installed on one computer. If you would like to be able to manage FFRM remotely from a distance, well, there's a solution for that, and I'm going to walk you through it. So let's get started. So, one of the ways that you can accomplish managing FFRM remotely across the internet is with a solution called Chrome Remote Desktop. What it allows you to do is to remotely control your FFRM PC from another device, whether that be a PC or some other type of computer or even a smartphone that's across the internet somewhere. So let's get started here. I have a suggestion for you. There are a ton of YouTube videos out there on Google Chrome Remote Desktop. I suggest you do your own research to get ready for this. Just do a Google search on setting up Chrome Remote Desktop, using Chrome Remote Desktop for work from home, those sort of things. I don't need to repeat all that. And the people who do that for a living, showing you how to use those systems and install it and so forth, do a much better job than I would ever do. So I would suggest maybe even take a break at this point, go watch one or two of those dozens of YouTubes out there, and then get started back here at this point. So, Chrome Remote Desktop or Google Chrome Remote Desktop is a Google product that's accessed with or based upon Google accounts, that is, Gmail accounts, which can be created for free. And Google Chrome Remote Desktop is also a free product. So that's great. A lot of people use this. I happen to know that with my day job, we have very, very large customers and they use it. And I know a lot of other people use it for other organizations and businesses. It's a very, very common thing. So it's widely used. Um, Google accounts themselves are used for Gmail. If you have a Gmail account, you've certainly logged on to a Google account for your Gmail. But Google accounts are also used for Google Chrome Remote Desktop, as I said, but also things like YouTube because Google owns YouTube. Now, there's one thing you need to remember about Google accounts. They can sync data. So your bookmarks, your browsing history, even saved passwords can be shared between devices where the same Google account signs on, and that's a good thing. But it can be a problem when if not just one person is using the Google account, then it needs to be managed a little bit differently when multiple people use the same Google account to use Chrome Remote Desktop. And we're going to talk about that here in just a second. Which Google account you use for Chrome Remote Desktop will depend on how many people you want to use for your FFRM uh, remote access. Okay. If you yourself are the only person using Chrome Remote Desktop to remotely connect to your FFRM, then you only need one Google account. If you already have a Gmail account, you can just use that Google account, and if it's syncing, that should be fine. However, if you have other people who want to also remotely connect to your FFRM PC, then it becomes a more challenging situation because you don't want everybody else, whenever they use your Google account, to perhaps see your uh, personal browser info and bookmarks and passwords and so on and so forth. So, therefore, if that's your situation, you've got multiple people you want to enable to remotely connect to your FFRM computer, it's like your farm manager or family members or whatever, then what you do is you simply create another free Google account, another Gmail account. And the only thing you'll use for that is simply for connecting remotely with Google Chrome Remote Desktop into that FFRM PC. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm using that right now and it works just fine. So, what is needed for connecting remotely? Well, at least two different devices. Okay. All devices must have Google Chrome web browser installed on them. That's a prerequisite. And another prerequisite you'll see here is that all the devices, both the from and the to, the remote and the FFRM PC, have to have a Google account, the same Google account logged in. So let's talk about the two different types or categories of devices. The first one is the FFRM PC itself. That's your Windows PC with FFRM installed. That FFRM PC acts more or less as a server. Let's just say it's like a server that is connected to and then controlled remotely from another device. Okay. So, number two here, the remote device is basically another computer or something with a Chrome web browser on it. It could be a Windows PC, it could be a Chromebook, doesn't have to be Windows, could be a Chromebook, could be Apple, could be Linux, or even a smartphone. I can use my iPhone to connect and access and see FFRM running on the FFRM PC that I have. So I know that works. And it can be multiple different remote devices. You might have a PC, you might have an iPhone, you might have a Chromebook. I have all those. But the only thing is, it's just one at a time. You can't have five people logged into at one time, just one at a time. But normally that's not a big deal, just one at a time. Okay, so let's talk more about the FFRM PC. A prerequisite for it is that it, of course, as I said before, Chrome web browser has to be installed on it. And another prerequisite is you need to install Google Chrome Remote Desktop. That's actually an application. Make sure you download it directly from Google. Don't want to do it, bring it in from somewhere else. And the other prerequisite is that you need to sign on to the Google account that will be used uh, on both the FFRM PC and the remote device, the shared Google account, whether that's just for you or if it's for multiple people. You set up the FFRM PC as a remote access computer under Chrome Remote Desktop, and you share it. If you've watched those other Google YouTubes that you found before, you probably watched them do that. Then the other half of the equation here is the remote device. Again, it could be a Windows PC, a Chromebook, Apple, Linux, smartphone, anything with a Chrome web browser can sign onto the FFRM PC and control it remotely. A prerequisite is Chrome web browser is installed on it. Another prerequisite is it's installed Google Chrome Remote Desktop or the smartphone app from like the App Store or whatever your phone has connects to get apps. Make sure it's from Google. Make sure it's from Google, nowhere else. And also, you make sure that, as I said before, you sign on to the Google account that will be used, either your own or a special purpose Google account shared with others that links the two of them together. You open the Chrome Remote Desktop under the Chrome browser and look for remote devices. A little bit of troubleshooting. If you don't see the FFRM PC from the remote device after starting your Chrome Remote Desktop on the application, make sure both the FFRM PC and the remote device are both signed in to the same Google account. That's number one. That's the first thing to look for. Next, make sure that the FFRM PC has sharing turned on. That's the second thing. And make sure both of them are, the FFRM PC and the remote device, are connected to the internet. That's a requirement as well. If it's still not working, review your YouTube expert, video advice. There's dozens and dozens of videos out there, and I can tell you, if it's still not working, most likely it's a configuration issue. So let's do a quick demo. I'm actually on what I would consider a remote device, and I'm going to show you logging in through Chrome Remote Desktop into my FFRM PC for my farm. So let's go ahead and do that. This is Chrome Remote Desktop. This is a Chrome web browser connected to this address right here. And as you can see, under Chrome Remote Desktop, the application that's been installed on this device, it found remote devices, and this is this device. So I could turn that on if I wanted to have somebody come back in and get into this device, but I've already installed it on my FFRM PC. So let's see how that works. So it comes up and it says enter the PIN. So I have the FFRM app as a shortcut and the FFM reports right here as a shortcut. Let me click on that. It's going to give me a little warning. That's fine. And then I'm going to go into I accept because I don't have the customer ID and the license key set up on this yet. And when I log in, this is actually for one of the examples, so that's why that doesn't have the customer ID and the license key. I'll go in here as this guy and do my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because that's the standard with the two examples. And there it is right there. There's Farm A database. And I'm running it just like I would run this um, from sitting at the machine itself, from sitting at this computer, but I'm running it remotely that way. So that's pretty cool. And if I want to get out of that after I do my work, I can close that and then I just go backwards or whatever, and I'm done. So that takes us through the demo. I hope that this was not too long. As I said, you can find an awful lot, dozens and dozens of experts out there to show you the intricacies of Google Chrome Remote Desktop itself. This is just how I used it to set it up for remote access on my computer, and you can do the same thing on your computer. I hope everybody enjoyed this. I really appreciate your time. And if you stand by, there's a short, fun family video that I'm going to play next. And everybody have a great day. Thank you.